Alright, so now we're at our computer and we want to download the data off the sensors. So first I'm going to create a folder for me to store all the information in. So this one is going to be called test. So we have our folder ready, and now we're going to export the timesync file from our iPad, and then we're going to save it into that folder we just created. So if I go to the activity that we had, I can swipe left on it and I can click export, or I can do the same on the event. So I can swipe left and click export. So I'm going to export the event because I want to keep that nice photo as well. So I just sent that timesync file, all the timesync files in that event, to my computer. And I can see that it's here in my downloads folder. And it's actually called test. So the zip file that's exported is named after the event that we created on the iPad. Now I want to move this test zip file to my folder that I created earlier. If I open him up, here he is, the test zip file. So I'll unzip him, and he's actually got the activity called arm clap and also the photo I took. So I can unzip arm clap, and here are the 3 timesync files for each respective sensor, aptly named after bottom wrist, middle wrist, and top wrist. The names of these timesync files will be the ones corresponding to what you named your sensor when we first started the logging session. Now we're going to open up our desktop app, IMU Lightning. So first I turn my sensor on. I've got my micro USB cable here plugged into my computer, and then now I plug my micro USB into the sensor. So, Lightning will now display previews of all the data I've ever recorded on the sensor. Now, this always happens in a way which the last time I recorded, it will show the data at the bottom of the list. So at the top of the list, this is the oldest data set that I've recorded, and then going down in time, or forward in time rather, this is the data I just recorded for the arm clap activity. So I know that I've plugged in my bottom wrist sensor, so I'm now going to select the sync file to match that data set. So I navigate to my test folder and select bottom wrist, click open, and now that has selected the sync file for this data set. I'm now going to select the data I want of that data set. So I can either click select all, which means it'll download the whole thing, or I can add a region. Now, adding a region is good if you have a lot of data and you only want to select the data you really want. So I know that here I can see this is where I did my 3 claps and 3 arm movements. So I'm just going to download this. And now I'm going to click the download button up here, download the data, and now I'm going to select where I want to save the data. So I'm going to create a new folder inside arm clap, and we'll call that sensor data. And we'll choose that folder. And now if we go back here, we can see that that folder has been created, and here is the data. So it's actually, the name of it is the mode that you used to log the SD card logging. But what we're going to do now is actually rename it. So we'll call this bottom wrist, so we know that this is the one corresponding to this sensor. Now I'm going to unplug my sensor, turn him off, get my wrist sensor, turn him on, plug him in, go back to Lightning, and we've scrolled all the way down to the bottom. Going to select my sync file, navigate to the sync file, which is middle wrist, open. Then I'm going to add a region, and click download. Now I want to save him inside sensor data again, and I'll rename him to middle wrist. All right, now I can unplug this sensor. Now plug in the final top wrist sensor, turn them on, plug them in. All right, so we're down at the bottom. I'm going to select my sync file. And this time I'm going to select the whole thing because I want all of the data from my top wrist sensor. And I'm going to click download. All right, so now I'll go into sensor data, save him there, rename him to top wrist. And that's all the data downloaded from the sensors.